Hi guys, log into your Google Drive if you have not and go to your business communications folder that you created on Friday and open up the file that is named Monday, May 12th Purpose. This will be the beginning of our business communications notes in our last unit for this class. This file here, it looks like the one that I have on my screen. And the top part is the notes, and then the second page of this document is the activity that you will do after it. All of this week will work this way. You'll do notes and then you'll have an activity that will follow. Feel free at any time during this screencast to pause if you need to get something filled in and I'm going too fast. You can pause the video and then get back to it once you're ready and once you have everything typed in. Alrighty, let's get started with the notes for today. The first thing that we're going to define is business communications, because that's what this unit is all about. Business communications is all communication that occurs in a business context. So this could be writing a memo to somebody, it could be sending a fax or writing an email, having just a simple phone call, or standing up and giving a presentation to somebody. So all of those encompass what business communications actually is. What we're going to focus on in this unit, though, is just giving that formal presentation to an audience. The next thing then is a presentation, and we defined a presentation when we talked about presentation software as a talk or a speech that a person gives. Well, a presentation is also any time that a group of people come together to listen to some speaker. And for this unit, in that case, the speaker will be you. The most important part of a presentation is planning that presentation out. All good presentations will be planned. For this class, we're going to follow the PACE model. And you can see on that Smart Art graphic there, PACE stands for Purpose, Audience, Content, Electronic Preparation, and Delivery. Today we'll talk about purpose, tomorrow audience, Wednesday content, Thursday electronic preparation, Friday 8th graders will do delivery, and 7th graders will do delivery on Monday. So you're probably asking yourself, well, what does all of that mean and what do we have to do in order to go through that planning process? Well, the first step that we'll talk about today is the purpose. We're going to determine why you're going to give that presentation. That's what purpose means. Why did you decide to give this presentation to this audience? Step 2 then is audience. This is where you analyze the audience for your presentation. You figure out who you're going to be talking to, what they have in common, what they already know about your presentation, and what you want to tell them. Step 3 is where you develop the content for your presentation. Before you start any electronic portion, you're going to write out everything that you're going to say in your presentation. It can be a simple outline, it can be a very detailed outline, but the more you plan, the better your presentation will be in the end. The 4th step is using some type of electronic technology to prepare your presentation material. You'll be able to use Google Presentation, PowerPoint, or Prezi for your presentation electronic technology. What you use this for is as an aid to your presentation. It's used to help you remember what to say and also to give your audience something to look at so they're not really bored when you're giving your presentation. And you'll see, I'm going to show you guys an example in just a minute of a good presentation given by a student, and you'll see how he uses pictures instead of words to give his presentation. You'll look at the electronic portion that he created, and you'll see that it's not a whole bunch of bullet points, it's not paragraphs of text, it's not telling the whole story. The electronic portion is just there as an aid to help remind you what to say while you're giving your presentation. And then finally, the last step, step 5, is where you practice delivering your presentation. You have to practice the delivery before you give a presentation. It's very easy to tell if you didn't do that. You don't want to just wing it. It's very hard to give a good presentation if you don't plan and practice ahead of time. So I'm going to show you an example now of a presentation given by a student. This is not one of my students, but I have annotations during his presentation. The blue boxes are things that I've typed in to kind of show you where he's done some really good things and what I want from you out of these presentations. Now, I don't expect perfection by any means, but I want you to get a good idea of what a good presentation is and a good idea at what you're going to be doing in the end.
Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Sean Donahue. I'm a sophomore at the Johns Hopkins University, double majoring in public health and economics, and this is my submission for the Center for Leadership Education's oral presentation contest. Thank you for your time. Once you know who you are, you may finally understand where you are going. This is a quote from my mentor, Dr. Hasmi Hassan, and I think it is especially pertinent for the situation that Johns Hopkins is in. I believe our institution is at a crossroads. We have the opportunity right now to refocus our efforts and continue to be on the forefront of learning and education. I see the Johns Hopkins baseball field as an opportunity to create campus diversity, to improve our facilities, and most importantly, to give another resource to those who work, learn, and study here at Johns Hopkins. But before we just blatantly decide on something to put at the Johns Hopkins baseball field, I think we first need to realize and define Johns Hopkins. What is our institution? What defines a student who goes here? Is it our athletics with our consistently top-ranked lacrosse team? Or possibly our medical institution with incredible patient care and incredible rankings? Or even is it our research and the discoveries that are made here every day at the Homewood campus? Well, I think that it is an aspect of each of these. And that aspect is our spirit and our heritage here at Johns Hopkins, the spirit of discovery. And I'd like to introduce you to a phrase that I use for Johns Hopkins and what we embody, and that is that Johns Hopkins truly is an epicenter of discovery. We have faculty and researchers that are not just relaying information like at other institutions, but are doing a much more dynamic process than that. They are actually in the process of creating and spreading brand new knowledge. Now, this is incredible and different from every other place around, and in order to do that, the university takes advantage of its most precious resource, its students. Our students here are motivated and passionate about their studies. They have a thirst for knowledge that is above and beyond most others. I believe that Johns Hopkins truly is moving forward and moving in the direction of continuing to be an epicenter of discovery. I believe it is written here in our hallowed crest, in Latin, "The truth shall set you free." We always have, and I hope always will, be discovering new information and spreading it with the world. And I believe that through our heritage, we can use this philosophy to justify and to become a leader in distance learning through the Johns Hopkins Center for Long Distance Learning. Thank you for your time.
So let's get into what purpose actually means, the first step in planning your presentation. To determine your presentation purpose, the first thing you'll have to do is come up with the topic of your presentation. You have the choice of anything that you want to give your presentation on. If you want to give a presentation on an animal, that's fine. Maybe you want to talk about your family. Maybe you want to talk about yourself or a friend, your favorite sports team. Maybe you want to give a presentation demonstrating how to do something, how to make a cookie. Anything goes for these presentations. The biggest thing that I want you to keep in mind is that I want you to choose a topic that you already know things about. I don't want this to turn into a research project. That's not what this is. There isn't time to do adequate research for a formal presentation. What I want you to work on is your presentation skills, being able to get up in front of an audience and speak and put together some type of electronic technology to go along with it. That's what we're looking for. That's what I want you to focus on and spend your days in class working on. So try to pick a topic that you already know most of the things about that you can talk about. Your final presentations will be 3 to 5 minutes, so you'll need to be able to talk about that topic for 3 to 5 minutes. As we go through the process, it'll make a lot more sense and it'll seem a lot easier as we get to our content and our electronic preparation portions. Once you've chosen your topic, you want to decide what you want to do with that. Do you want to persuade your audience? Do you want to inform your audience, demonstrate something, or entertain? And we're going to go through what each of those mean. You'll be able to choose the path that you take for your presentation. The first type of presentation categories is persuasive. In a persuasive presentation, you're encouraging your audience to think or act. You're trying to make them think the way that you think or act on something in a way that you would act on that. You're usually very passionate about this topic and you want your audience to do something. So an example would be by a product. If you just created a product and you're giving a presentation about that, your goal would be to persuade your audience to buy that product. Persuasion is influencing. It's an act of power. It's trying to get the people you're talking to either do something or believe what you believe. The next type is an informative presentation. An informative presentation is what most of you will probably give. This one is probably the easiest one to do, but it's also the most boring. An informative presentation is when you get up and you're just giving information. So if you're going to talk about your favorite sports team, you're probably just going to give your audience stats and information about that team. That's an informative presentation. Communicating, sharing, showing information to your audience. The third type would be a demonstrative presentation. These, from my experience of watching students do presentations both at my past school and here, these are the best ones that students typically do. Demonstrative presentations are when you teach a skill to your audience. This is any type of how-to make a paper airplane, how to play guitar, how to play any instrument. These presentations can be really interactive and they take a lot of pressure off of you. If you have something in your hand to show your audience, you're demonstrating and doing something, your audience isn't just staring at you. They're focusing on what you're doing, and they're probably interacting with that as well. These types of presentations really take the pressure off of you and seem to go much more smoothly. I had a student in the past do how to play guitar. He brought in his guitar and he taught the class how to play. One of the best presentations I've seen. That student was typically very shy, but because he had his guitar with him and he knew what he was doing, it was really easy for him and it ended up being a great presentation. Demonstrative usually are the easiest and go the best. The fourth type of presentation then is an entertaining presentation. An entertaining presentation, your main goal is to make your audience laugh. These are the hardest presentations for middle school students to give to their peers. It is not easy to make your classmates laugh. And your goal, if you say that you're giving an entertaining presentation, your goal then is to make your audience laugh. And if they don't laugh, then you haven't succeeded in your presentation. So here's an example I found on Tumblr of somebody who was trying to give an entertaining presentation and make his audience laugh, and it just didn't work. It says, in grade 8, I did a PowerPoint presentation on whooping cough, and my opening slide was a photo of Whoopi Goldberg coughing, and I was the only person who laughed at it, and I couldn't start the presentation for like 5 minutes because I was laughing too hard at my own joke. If no one else laughs, you haven't succeeded. You haven't done what you intended to do in that type of presentation. So my goal to you is, or my advice to you is, if you're not funny, don't try to give an entertaining presentation. All right, make sure that you have everything filled in on your notes, and we're going to go over to your worksheet so I can explain it to you. On this worksheet, what you're going to do, you have at the very top, you'll see user group 1, user group 2, 3, 4, and beside each user group, it tells you about a presentation. Your instructions say, for each of the 3 user groups described, identify an appropriate presentation category and purpose. Make sure that each purpose takes into account the needs of the audience and includes an action that the presenter hopes the audience will take. You can make any assumptions you wish about the user groups. So for each of these, this is our user group, a group of volunteers who want to help out at the center. What you're going to do first is tell me what category that presentation would be. So if somebody was giving a presentation to volunteers who want to help out at the center, would they be trying to inform them, to persuade them, to entertain them, or to demonstrate something? That's the first thing you need to identify. Then you're going to identify the purpose. That means, why would they give a presentation to that audience? For what reason? Why would somebody stand up in front of volunteers who want to help out at the center and give them a presentation? Like your instructions say, you can make any assumptions you wish about the user groups. Fill this out. Fill it out in entirety. Again, you can make assumptions with this. There is not only one answer for each of them. Think about it. Read the user group. That means the group of people who are listening to the presentation. The category comes from the 4 we just talked about. And the purpose is, what action does the speaker want the audience to take after the presentation? What's the purpose? Why are they giving the presentation to that audience? If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Just go to your school email. If you start typing in KLINE, my name will pop up. You'll see my email address. I'll have access to my email all day and should be able to respond pretty quickly. Be good for your sub. Make sure all of this is filled out. When you get finished with everything, type or find something to do quietly. Have a good day. I'll see you on Wednesday.